that for 40 plus years, the state of Texas had been keeping the blood spots collected from babies at birth, keeping those blood spots on record in a DNA database that they didn't let parents know about, but that they were using for scientific research purposes. The government has been collecting babies' blood at birth for 40 years and putting it into a secret DNA database that is controlled by the Pentagon as it comes out. And it's not just in Texas, for those who think so. It's in the United States, it's in the UK, it's in Canada, it's in Australia. There was an article from The Age out of Australia in 2004 that identified a specific company, Genetic Health Services Victoria, that had been hired by the state government of Victoria to store, again, these blood samples taken from newborns from 1965 onward, again, without the parents' knowledge or consent, and internal documents obtained by The Age of this Genetic Health Services Victoria, this private company, said that they believed that they owned not only the cards themselves, but more importantly, the genetic information on the cards. This private company that no one has ever heard of because no one ever talked about it actually believes they own your baby's blood and genetic material for their secret DNA databases. Again, all of this information is now already 6 years old, and it just gets even more ridiculous from there. People who don't know about the various DNA databases that are being constructed in various countries, the UK is a particularly illustrative example. It's been storing DNA information for years and years now, not only from criminal suspects or people who are actually on trial for something, but for people who are detained for any reason whatsoever, even people who are not charged with a crime. There's been a back and forth for years and years in the UK court system and UK Parliament about this practice. There are hundreds and hundreds of links available for example, at places like genewatch.org, documenting this struggle that still continues. The UK police still collect and store DNA information, but now they promise to destroy it within 6 months unless it's being used in an actual trial. And don't worry, you can trust the UK government, of course, right? And again, that's just one example from one country. This is a process that's going on in multiple countries. Good article on this that I highlighted recently in the New World Next Week, How DNA is Turning Us into a Nation of Suspects, that goes through some of the different ways that DNA is collectible and collected and being used in various ways by various government agencies. It says, having already used surveillance technology to render the entire American populace potential suspects, DNA technology in the hands of government will complete our transition to a suspect society in which we all merely waiting to be matched up with a crime. And it goes on to say, if scientists can using DNA, track salmon across hundreds of square miles of streams and rivers, how easy will it be for government agents to not only know everywhere we've been and how long we were at each place, but collect our easily shed DNA and add it to the government's already burgeoning database. This is Buck Rogers' science fiction nightmarish stuff, and for decades, for half a century, for the last half century anyway, people have intuitively known, felt in their bones that this is an absolute 100% in-your-face hallmark of tyranny. It was even put into literature and given a name by Orwell, of course, George Orwell, 1984, Big Brother is watching you. This has been the symbol for decades and decades of governmental tyranny and a government run amok. When these types of, these invasions of our basic privacies by government start to become widespread, people have known that is nightmare surveillance society stuff. And yet now when you Google image something like Big Brother, you're as equally likely to get, of course, the CBS hit television show and pictures of scantily clad men and women, because again, everything is programming and they are trying to distract you from real issues that our grandparents knew and had to be reassured that this was not happening. We're not using this for any sort of federal identification. We're not tracking you. We're not surveilling you. We're not databasing you. Honest, you can trust us. Just accept this little number in your life and everything will be better. And a few decades later, this is what it becomes. This is the very image of government tyranny, and it is unfolding before our eyes.